What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news and updates. So we do have some stuff about Season 7 to talk about. There's a new community summit going on for Season 7 right now. We're going to talk about the return to Leviathan and a few hints to what some of the content could be in current lore cards that we've got. We'll touch on some potential future exotics, and then we're going to talk about game updates, new rewards, early invitations of the 9, and a bunch of other stuff. On top of this though guys, I want to talk about some separate but pretty important news that could affect this channel, as well as a bunch of other channels on YouTube and creators on the internet. So we're going to talk about Article 13. You may have heard about this one. I wanted to explain it and how it could affect my content on the internet for you guys who want to know about it. But if you want to skip straight to the Destiny stuff, there will be a timestamp in the description below. So nonetheless guys, let's jump straight into it. Firstly, we're going to touch on Article 13 for a couple of moments. So you may know a little bit about this already, but it's a new European copyright law that is basically trying to protect content owners in Europe. So it could be movies, music, whatever it is. It's a potentially very restrictive law when it comes to online content on YouTube or other social media platforms, and it has actually been passed recently. So what it means is that platforms will be fully responsible for content uploaded by users, and this can be anywhere in social media, and that includes YouTube. And what this could mean is that the sheer amount of risk for the platforms could be too great to even allow certain types of content to be uploaded or distributed. So what could potentially happen here? Well, for me and any other creators in the EU on YouTube, it could mean that our existing content gets blocked, and that includes in the United States. So a lot of your favorite content creators from Europe, whether it's tech, gaming, reviews, whatever it may be, it's possible that their content could be restricted, or that you'll actually no longer be able to watch this content. On top of this, even worse, it could mean that I simply will no longer be able to upload to YouTube from inside of Europe. And at the same time, creators in the United States or anywhere else in the world might find that their content can't actually be distributed inside of Europe either. So Article 13 is absolutely going to affect everybody, and it's pretty terrifying stuff. The main reason that this could happen, or that content could be blocked if YouTube or other platforms can't find a way to manage the content and the risks around copyright under the new laws. Under those conditions, if I happen to upload a video that contained copyrighted content, YouTube could actually be sued for it. And that's where we run into all of the issues with this. So within a year or so, we're going to start to see this stuff come into effect, and the way that YouTube and other platforms handle it will very much depend on the legislation and how restrictive it is, as well as how much actual clarity there is around it as well. It's very difficult to say exactly what is going to happen, guys, but there could come a time where my content is affected by this. So I will keep you guys posted on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it down below, but because it could have, such kind of consequences for channels like mine, I definitely wanted to let you guys know about it. We're just going to have to see what happens. Let me know your thoughts about it down below. Now though, let's move on and talk about Destiny stuff. So with Season 7 approaching, Deej tweeted and said, looking forward to hosting some Guardians from our community this week to play some new stuff and speak their minds. And as you may know, a whole bunch of content creators, community members, folks who play Destiny a lot, there are a bunch of folks going over to sample some of the stuff coming in Season of Opulence. And of course, that begins in June. So what is it that they're actually going to be able to get a sneak peek at? Well, if there was any one single piece of content on the roadmap, of course, we are getting a 6-player matchmade activity. And if we look at the last 2 seasons, we had the Forges as kind of the major content focus for Black Armory. Gambit or Gambit Prime and Reckoning are the 2 pieces of major content for this season. So this 6-player matchmade activity is probably going to be kind of a core piece of content for Season 7. We are also getting a new raid next season as well, although I don't believe any early previews of raids and stuff like that tend to happen. Nonetheless, compared to the current season, with Gambit really being the focus, hopefully this 6-player matchmade activity will have kind of broader appeal, because of course not everyone loves Gambit, and with this being endgame content, it's pretty interesting. Much like a raid, it will feature 6 players. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about what that could be down below. We'll touch on some lore stuff that could potentially link to this in a moment, but to reiterate, perhaps you've been out of the loop, a couple of very reliable leaks would suggest that we could be getting the Rose exotic hand cannon next season. Of course, these are the leaks from Anon the 9, who's been pretty much correct on everything so far. They also suggested that another bird we love will be returning to the game, and the common speculation is that that refers to Hawkmoon. But all of this stuff, considering Glassword, Thorn, and the story associated with those as well, yeah, it's definitely pretty likely that this stuff is correct. But it's going to be very interesting to see what's going on aboard the Leviathan. Bungie have showed this off in a few different trailers, so we very much know that we're going to return to Leviathan, and it'll be interesting to see how Callus plays a role in this as well. Of course, going back, Callus was essentially dethroned by Dominus Gaul from the Red Legion, And a basic explanation is that Gaul banished Callus, put him aboard his Leviathan, dismantled the giant ship engines, and then set Callus, along with the ship, floating off into the gulfs of space, essentially left to rot. But eventually Callus found something, or indeed was found by something, out there on the edges of space, and what Callus communed with there made him significantly stronger, and it was at this point that Callus, having regained his power and control of Leviathan, set a course back to our system, and this is where he found the defeated Dominus at the hands of the Guardians. And following that, of course, he invited us aboard for his challenges. But there is some new lore this season which makes reference to Leviathan and Callus, as well as a tease for what could await us there. So if you check out the passivity lore entry from the Stolen Intelligence book, we can see live fire training exercises continue at the active incursion site on the Leviathan. No further raid class operations have been documented since the unauthorized intervention against VIP 4044 at the explicit invitation of VIP 3801. Now, VIP 3801 actually refers to Callus, and I believe VIP 4044 is actually Valkaor, the last remaining kind of commander of the Red Legion that were defeated in the Spire of Stars raid. The lore goes on to say, related to the above, 3801's aggressive propaganda campaign appears to have been successful, and despite their recent inactivity, sentiment polls captured in the tower at recent intervals over the last several months indicate that he has successfully swayed a significant percentage of the Red War cohort to believe that he may be a potential ally. The agent writing this says it's my strong recommendation that the Vanguard pursue a re-education curriculum before Callus invites any Guardians of the city to defect to his service, a possibility which we have documented in multiple previous reports. They also mention that the Awoken Armada continues regular shows of force against Leviathan, but Leviathan remains non-hostile, and also the agents continuously closely monitor inbound and outbound traffic to and from the Leviathan, and as yet we have not been able to observe any non-Guardian transport, providing additional evidence for the fact that the ship is either a self-contained ecosystem which has no paracausal exits, or that it possesses some kind of internal Stargate network by which occupants may invisibly enter and exit. And the agent finishes by saying that they're inclined to regard this conspicuous passivity with suspicion rather than relief, and that they would urge the Vanguard leadership to consider exploratory excursions in coming months. So pretty interesting stuff right there. Essentially, the agent is recommending that we go and investigate, see what's going on with Leviathan, but they also make reference to the lack of activity around Leviathan, the fact that no ships or visitors appear to be making their way towards Leviathan, but also the possibility of a Stargate hidden aboard that's actually allowing occupants of Leviathan to move between the ship and some other mysterious locations. So really cool stuff, definitely leaning us towards the content that we'll get in Season 7. And we've seen this kind of darker version of Leviathan in some of the early footage. This could be for the new 6-player activity, of course, or indeed the new raid. We also see the Void icon for the next DLC. There is reference to the Void, where Callus communed with the darkness. And who knows, maybe that match-made activity could actually begin on Leviathan, but take us somewhere else. Either way, there's some very cool scope here for some really great lore and content in the game as well. And I'd be curious for any of you guys who may have lapsed a little bit from Destiny with this season's content, and that is kind of understandable, you know, if you're not a massive fan of Gambit, there isn't necessarily a ton to do after the first couple of weeks especially. Do you think, you know, more raid-focused endgame PvE stuff, especially with matchmaking, and potentially really cool story? Does this sound a bit more positive for the next season than a Gambit-focused drop? I'd love to hear your thoughts about it down below. Now though, let's jump into some other news and roundups. Firstly, Josh Hamrick, very well-known sandbox designer at Bungie, and of course one of the leads, is actually going to be leaving, so he said that this is going to be his last week. He plans to move on to something else for a while after taking some time off, because of course, I imagine it's been a pretty busy few years working on Destiny stuff. So yeah, let us know your thoughts about that down below. Josh Hamrick, definitely one of the pretty well-known developers on Destiny. On the subject of some seasonal stuff right now, there is a Clan Rank 4 perk, which actually will give you 7 enhancement cores when you complete Hawthorne's weekly milestone. This was posted by Supreme Math Debater on Reddit. So yeah, once you've got the rank 4 clan perk active, every time you do the weekly milestone, anyone inside of the clan will get 7 enhancement cores. I think that's actually a pretty good addition. Personally, I reckon we need more stuff like that in the game, where we get rewards for simply playing the game. You know, one of the problems with enhancement cores, I think, for a lot of people, is the idea that you actually have to kind of go and chase them by completing specific bounties and objectives. You know, go and do this random lost sector somewhere on a planet to get 1 enhancement core. That never really felt like a great reward system for this, so I think more things that work like this would definitely be positive. Definitely a good move from Bungie. Hopefully we get more of it. There's been some conversation about the fact that the Thorn ornament, now available in the game, is only purchasable for silver, so it will cost 1100 silver from the Eververse store. Let me know your thoughts about that down below. To me personally, I just kind of won't buy it. Although, I would prefer to be able to acquire it in the game somehow. Hagrid Arms pointed out right here, it does actually change the reticle for the Thorn as well. You can see that one of the kind of points on the left-hand side is broken, and you've got this really high-V kind of holographic there. On the subject of Iron Banner going on this week, DMG said powerful rewards from Director challenges were updated in the last hotfix to give greater bumps through 690 power. Iron Banner weekly bounties should be expected to drop +1 power gains upon completion, but of course they grant gear specific to Iron Banner. So if you're wondering about slightly lower power level drops from those bounties, that'll be why, and it is intended. DMG also points out we've got 2 times Valor all week long, and then 3 times Valor starting on Friday. That'll run over to next week's reset. Let me know down below if you guys have tried out the Iron Burden consumable. This will drop you by 100 power levels. My friend JBot right here sent me a couple of different clips that you can see. This is on nearly a max level character that's been brought down by 100 levels. You can see stuff like Lunas Howl doing something like 40 odd damage to the head. Yikes, it looks like a lot of fun. Good luck if you're grinding for 500 kills. If you can get 500 kills with this burden active, you can pick up a unique roll of the Wizened Rebuke fusion rifle. Final shout right here, Invitations of the Nine have continued to be accessed early. It's not something I've tried to do, but in case you're curious about it, Zack Attack shared a video to Reddit showing how you can get the extra invitation at reset, as well as the encounter for this week as well, which you can check out if you want to. But basically to get the extra invitation at reset, it seems pretty hit and miss. Maybe it's more consistent on PC or something, but you basically have to be in Zer's inventory when the weekly reset happens on Tuesday, because that's actually when his inventory resets. You need to be in the inventory before reset happens, and it is possible, if you stay there for a couple of moments, for the new invitation to just pop up. So maybe something worth trying, but there are very mixed reports of how regularly this works, so you can give it a bash if you want to. But guys, for now, I think that's going to summarize the video. Definitely a slightly quieter season at this point than it was last season. It felt like there was kind of more speculation, more conversation about what was coming up, and I suppose generally more excitement. But as we all know, this season does have a slight content niche that I suppose isn't quite as appealing, and there are other games out, Division, stuff like that, which folks are really enjoying. And I think in a way that's definitely a good thing for Destiny, for everyone to get a breath of fresh air, and we'll see what innovations and stuff Bungie have to bring down the road this year. But guys, if you've enjoyed the video, a rating below really helps me out. If you're new around here, be sure to hit subscribe for all the latest Destiny 2 news, updates, guides, and that good stuff. I'd love to hear thoughts on the Article 13 stuff, or any of the content that we're going to get in Destiny. But for now, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.